just watched a video by the Lotus Eaters called Israel Strategic Liability for America, question mark. And it's a bad title, actually. The lad who was talking, he was actually only, if I was to make a criticism of him, he just doesn't go back far enough. But anyone can be critical. But he pointed to some interesting things where, from his analysis, because there's been all kinds of news lately that's been through the mainstream media that Trump appears to be, or the Trump administration appears to be moving behind Israel's back on all kinds of things. Now, there's two ways of looking at that. The one that I favour, or the one that I'd, there's two ways. The one that I suggest is what's going on, although both are possible, is that they're working with Israel, and Israel can't be seen to lose face in any way at this moment in time, and will refuse to. They're not going to allow a situation where their opponents in the world will be able to say, look, they back down, we won again. They're not going to allow that to happen, or even be speculated upon. They are holding fast. They're dropping bombs while the US is negotiating with their neighbours. I would suggest that they are in it together. I'd suggest that there's a kind of a good cop, bad cop situation, because there are requests that Israel can make to its neighbours through America that Israel would never be able to do as Israel. So I would suggest that that's what's going on. If that's not what's going on, and the Israeli government is belligerent to the US, going behind its back, right, that's bad, right? That's what this chap was suggesting was going on. That's bad. It's possible. As I said, well, there is another way of looking at it, that this is just pretty good negotiating, pretty good diplomacy, as to where the strategy is basically ideas are being pitched, rejected, and then new ideas are being pitched. So it looks like a negotiation, actually. But if the Israelis are belligerent about it, now certainly it might be that the belligerence is actually just part of that scheme, which would make sense. But if the belligerence is real, they've flexed in weird ways to say that if the US goes counter to our wishes, that they've flexed that they'd be able to stop the US in the Senate, and they'd be able to stop Trump in the Senate and stop them in the House. They've just openly flexed about how much power they've got over American politicians. And it's like, hang on a minute. Just flexed. So it's like, that's quite an outrageous statement, because as long as there's been the job of President of the United States, the President of the United States has always been in charge of foreign policy, ostensibly. So that turns out to have been bullshit, does it? They open the door for the whole world who are like a little bit, let's say, Israel, Jew, hand-in-hand conspiracy. They're being put in a position where they're all going to be able to say, I told you so. Look, they just said, I told you so. Every single guy in the world who's saying there's something going on with how these Jews are all networked, or the powerful ones are networked. That's the key to it. The key to understanding it is most Jews are just Jews, citizens, but the powerful ones are networked. That's the connection. And then if the two houses, if they decide to turn on Trump and say, hey, you can't operate behind Israel's back, and attempt to stop him, right? It's like, so who runs American foreign policy? And then if you make that case as to, well, it seems to be Israel, it's a matter of, okay, now if you put that, you see, there's always been a version of events, a story that many people out there earn good money for telling, where they can make this link. It's just to say, Israel controls America, and you will just give it to them. You will just hand it to them. If that is the case, it's like, you think that's true? Is that an actual fact? Can you mobilise both parties just like that to? You would be having to impeach Trump, wouldn't you? You'd have to try to impeach him. You can't. The House can't stop a president from, doing what he's doing. It's what you get. That's what the job's for, really. So it's right for fun. Even the big guys at the minute who are fighting the psychological wars and the infighting and the who's woke and who isn't woke, even they could go away and learning something about this lot. Right, pre-internet, you don't see that much of it on the internet, or it's got its own communities. But once upon a time, the American religious right were fucking tyrants, right? Tyrants. And running cults as well. And these, we know about the mega churches, don't we? We know about the praise the Lord. We know about sending your donations. It used to be a thing, the televangelists, the praise Jesus, praise the Lord telethon. And many of these people were, in essence, tradcasters, frauds, who were lining their own pockets because they could put on a hell of a fucking show, right? And having a load of people screaming and shouting at your and playing music at your mass. A lot of these people, like attention sort of whores and former addicts and the like, they'd mistake that shit for, oh, God's with me, God's in the room. So you're getting the praise Lord Jesus Christ crowd. In America, they were fucking massive for like decades. It was they who gave the right a bad name. It was them who made the left imminently electable. It was their influence that made your Republicans weak and fucking sellouts. Because these people are not pious and high and mighty. They're fucking insane members of, in essence, a very, very large death cult. And their product is always, the world's going to end tomorrow. The world's going to end tomorrow, whether they be New Agers or they be tub-thumping, trad-casting Bible bashers. The accelerationism that comes from elements of the right is their accelerationism. They didn't, in essence, migrate to the internet, but I bet you bet your ass fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of their followers have. And they've entrenched themselves on the right. Well, there was reason, and this is a thing, as to once were, people who were big on the Palestinian issue, they didn't always, it wasn't such a big issue. I'm not saying it wasn't a big issue, I'm saying it didn't have the big fan club like it has now. It wasn't the big tent, and you could get more sense out of the people who used to cover it, who were in that way a little bit biased towards Palestinians. But they used to talk more sense, and they used to actually do journalism. And there was a lot of efforts made in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s by the more, the less radical left to actually just shine a light on the American far right, it be the religious right, as to basically the cults they were building and the brainwashing they were doing. Did you ever see it? There was a film went out once called, it's called Jesus Camp. You ever see that? While them little kids cry. See, I mean, that was a thing in the world that wasn't something that was staged. That was the education that was being given to those homeschool kids. Having them all crying, Jesus. That was like sick. It's like this. That was some of the worst child abuse ever shown on television. Was that film, that Jesus Camp. And so it could well have been deceptively edited to make it seem a little bit worse than it was, but it's a matter of, no, it looked like a fucking prisoner of war camp to me. Looks like you had a load of proper fanatics drilling rules into them kids and punishing them and traumatising them on this religious retreat. And it'd be, how deep did that go? How old are those kids now who went to something like Jesus Camp? Where have they put themselves at work? Where have they gone to? Half of them will have rebelled and joined the LGBTQP plus alliance, and the other half will be the denizens of the more extreme elements of the right, the more woke right, the more structured right, the more statist right. It's like there's times when guys like Robert Fisk still be alive, be reporting on all the American investment going into the West Bank, expanding Israeli settlements. It'd be this money's all coming from America. This is all American money. That's buying up all this land. It's like church groups are raising money to buy land in the West Bank. And then this constant train of endless fucking tourism in Israel of these connections that have been built, these networks between the far religious right in the America and Israel as to where they're like this, yeah, like this, like to and fro. And many of these Christians are working on the premise that the prophecies say that one day all the Jews will become Christians. At the end, and it's like these guys are waiting for the end. There's lots of them. They were really seen as a dangerous radical force as to where we never these days talk about radical Christians, do we? Where once upon a time we did, and then it was decided that was just some kind of atheist attack on our morals because Christians represent the morality and so on. No, they don't, because they don't behave that way. They just mouth off like that. They're the ones who've made a mess of it. They're the ones who've driven people away from the precepts of just human morality. So they're the guys who destroyed it. They're the guys who made it elitist. They're the guys who are like, well, when the end comes, we know we'll be okay. We'll all go to heaven together. Where have the doomsday cults migrated to that were a crazy blight on the United States? Where have they gone? What did they become? Where did they migrate to? They had an incredible amount of money. Where have they put it? Have they continued investing it in Israel? What was their goal? What was their goal? War. By any means. We want to see the end of the world so we can be, in essence, rewarded. Those crazy bastards, where have they gone? Where have they gone? It's like they're not in the open anymore. The incarnations of them that see that I pop up are these mystics claiming to have inside information and visions and knowledge who will be forever telling you that the world is going to end tomorrow and then have a 50-year career telling you that the world is going to end tomorrow. So that's the New Ager answer to that, but the Christian answer to it seems to have put itself to proper purpose and to proper use and hidden itself. I see some of these, the more in essence radical sort of Christian groups, certainly of the celebrity ones, of the as to where they put themselves out as big time Christian. I always smell that beneath, because I'm just too experienced. I've just been around Christians so much as to where it's a matter of, you're putting on, you tried casting, okay. That's to try to show the world one has maybe changed or cleaned up one's act, and it can never hurt you to start tradding. Humans are receptive towards it. They tend to trust people more who hold certain values. So you just say you've got them, knowing exactly what to say. See, because the world is that. Anyone who's throwing out I'm being discriminated against, they know what they're doing. They know that this is a game I can play, this is a weapon. They don't really believe all that shit. They just understand that it's a useful thing to have. I think it's a distinct minority of pure dumbasses who believe that shit. The rest of them all just utilise it. They just play it. It's just a game. Just a way of winning. I tell you, the forces of the doomers, the radical Christians, it's like, where have they invested their dollars? If the goals are the same as they were 25 years ago, it's like the world has changed to better suit their needs. They love the climate change doomerism as well. They like it because it's an accelerant. It's an accelerant that's in the back of people's minds. It's a matter of it making matters worse. And the more that they're able to spread that kind of propaganda and get people believing in that kind of doom, the more it creates true believers in debt redemption by fire bullshit. Let's trigger the end of the world. That's so a weird modern incarnation of what the nuclear weapons done to the imagination of the God-fearing. It's like they throw out there, we can win over the Senate, we can win over the House, and all I think of is, are those doomers still investing all that money in Israel? Are they still running coach tours all over the fucking place for these rich old people? While they're there taking money off them and all that, and getting them to invest in real estate and shit. Are they still doing that? I think I think these days, when I go back to thinking about that they're like they would be like an Israeli psyop and money spinner. They certainly wouldn't be in control of this bus, would they? They wouldn't be driving. They wouldn't be at the wheel for absolute sure. But the money and the good wishes towards the accelerationism of Israel becoming more powerful, therefore more provocative. It's like, it's all welcome. Thank you for the money. 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 It's like, yeah, there is a great deal of people in the US who are under that kind of spell and attribute it to being like almost built into their religion. It'd be part of their faith as to Israel this and that, and Israel this and that. But to come off the way they want it to come off, things have to escalate, things have to get worse. So it's like anything out there in the world, policy-wise, foreign policy-wise, that will make, in essence, the situation in the world worse. And there's plenty of us out here in the world who'll say, oh, don't do that. These will be the repercussions. That's going to make things worse. At the same time, you've got it another side. You've got my opposite number saying, no, support this because this will make things worse. And it's like we just want a shit show. We just want it worse. It's like it doesn't have to work. It doesn't have to be a good idea. Does it make it worse? Yes. Can we work out in how many ways that it's gonna make it worse? No. Well, definitely do it then. Spill that can of worms all over them. Trap them in it. Everything that happens works better towards our end goal, which is the end of us all. But we know that we're going to be spared. Like, John, that kind of crazy isn't in the world. It's like, it's not in the world right now, isn't it? It's not mouthing off like it once did. But it's still out there, man. When Israel starts to flex its imaginary muscles and says, oh, well, we can turn the house against Trump. Can you now? Have you paid for that privilege? Who have you been supporting that makes that so? It's like, could pressure groups of the left and right combine? So suddenly Mr. Soros is throwing a load of money in, or threatening to withdraw support. That's what this is about. Threatening to withdraw support. So you've got all the little tribal leaders of these like fucking church groups and packs and mega churches all saying, we'll stop giving you money. And that's what. Remember us. And you get those fuckers get their way by being able to blackmail the Republicans. Say, oh well, we're withdrawing our support and our financial contributions. We're going to give the money we give you to your opponent. See ya. So yeah, by all means, flex that you've got a lobby powerful enough to overturn a president. It's like, yeah, say that. Like, who does that in this day and age where it's a matter of people are trying to cut down on this blame the Jews crap, aren't they? And it's right too, because you're blaming all for the actions of the connected, aren't you? And influential. And they don't need to recruit spies because you've got people who've been raised in the faith who will act better than any fucking spy. So there's no point trying to locate some kind of network because there isn't one. I will tell you something that you have got. Likely a fucking incredible number of Americans who've got a second home in Israel. You know, like the Hollywood junket who live in Israel when they're not in America. Loads of them. So like anyone, right, make that your rule. Yeah, if you want to say people who will twist politics to better suit the needs of the Israeli government in America, people who are heavily invested in the place, live there, have family there, go on holiday there all the time, powerful, influential, they're all signed up. Rest of Jews, or, you know, the Jew lives next door. No, he's just blown around by it. It's not down to that guy. There's amongst sorts of Jewish people, yeah, there's some proper monsters, isn't there? Amongst them. And it's a matter of, as soon as you start casting aspersions on all, you let the monsters slip into the crowd, and all the good ones say, you can't talk to us about us like that, we wouldn't do that. And the rest of the bad ones say that too. So you'll never get near the truth as long as you don't pass one person from another. So I'm sat in my living room at just lunchtime on a Monday afternoon making a YouTube video, and I'm a white man of mixed crazy descent. It's like, am I a threat? No. No. But I'm like, there are those who are. So if the right set of words comes out, or the right set of circumstances comes together where Israel might try to make good on that threat, you're going to see a lot of fucking, because it's a matter of, oh God, you some of the biggest dickheads in the world who peddle this, the Jews control everything. You've just been given a gift. It's to say, you know what? In quite a few sort of localized situations, because of the hooky relationships that they've got with a lot of citizens of America, it could be said to be true. And these not be Jews who will be the people who will be backing the state of Israel. It'd be Americans, and it'd be American right-wing radical Christians. The walkest of the walk right. You know, the church-going, God-fearing. Pious, better than you. They'd like to have the same sort of powers and reigns as the left have enjoyed through their tribal victimhood system. They'd like to have the same kind of power. They'd like to have the same power to censor and cancel as has been enjoyed by others. They'd like to have that. With the same kind of foolish understanding that control of the word is the answer to order, which is a problem that the left's got. I saw the AOC the other week questioning that guy in a video, and she just keeps repeating the same question over and over again, thinking that eventually he'll somehow cave in under the weight of a magical stir. And I sit and it's like, she thinks if she just keeps doing this that he'll somehow cave in because she's a magical or a witch or something. It just came across so much like that, how she keeps doubling down and doubling down. It's like the same preoccupation with control of the word. You can take it on loads of levels as to where the right that would now claim to be moving forward, the victors, show themselves rather quickly to be collectivist, or those of that persuasion push their way to the front and claim to speak for all, which is more what happens. It's not so easy to do nowadays because of the old internet. You get dissenters, so then you get it where that movement needs to like gain a cohesion. So your MAGA movement had the same kind of purge as what Keir Starmer had out of the Labour Party in the UK. Exactly the same, but just a different set of values. Dog. Mile. He's good as gold most of the time. But yeah, just same scum, different rules. So we're going back to the old version of the programme. Going back to the version of the programme they fed me when I was a kid. We're going back to that. Ignoring the fact that it was the failure of that kind of trad mind control that led to, I mean, pretty much all of the mental health crises in the Western world. It was that model life failing being right in concept but impossible in practice that has caused the rift that we've got, the divide that we've got. Just like, yeah, pump them some more of that bullshit. The previous generation, they believed it and they pumped out a lot of mutated kids. Maybe these will do the same. They all jumped on the nearest warm body, and instead of doing what they would normally do, they did what they'd normally do and got married too. I listen to the trad of the right telling, oh, if kids do this, and I'm like, it's poison. It's like, that's to somebody I can hear. It's well intentioned, or it could be, but I can. At the same time, it's been like, well, yeah, but it's still poison. Because those are the ideals they're the traditional ideals. They're the very foundations of our culture. And they're just repeating the old traditional shit, and it'd be a matter of. There's no traditional answer. There's no traditional solution to the problems of the world. You can't go back in fucking time. The generalised advice and virtue signalling of the right is every bit as tiresome as the look, more racism of the left. It is tiresome. But if you want to see a fun emerging bloc, right, these ostensible walkist right forces, it'll turn out amongst that group that Candice Owens will be the craziest and also the most correct. Won't she? The craziest and the most correct. She'll end up the best of a bad bunch, and the bad bunch contains all of the radical Christians who can't see any losing angle in backing Israel right to the end. Just can't see a losing angle. They're accelerationists. They would like to see the end of the world for everyone in their lifetime. They can't just be happy with croaking, right? They can't just be happy with croaking, like suffocating a bit and then boom, dead. They can't handle that. No, that's not the way they want to go out. They want to go out when everyone goes out. They want to see it. They want to see the end. Committed, building towards it, generation after generation. What are you building towards? The end of the world. Oh, how do you think best way to facilitate that is? Do what it says in the book. There's a driving force always in these Israeli situations. Certainly as to where I don't think Israel would still exist if it wasn't for their high level support, if you like, their support in high places in society. It wouldn't exist. It's like they've counted on it, and it's like America is in some regards, for its own reasons, these cults for their own reasons make the choice to be pro-Israel. Why am I talking like this? Well, according to reports, Netanyahu's party claims that they can overturn Trump on foreign policy with their influence over the houses. And just ask myself, how might have that become a thing? And then just started to think back, well, once upon a time, these people appear to have a lot of power and influence and a hell of a lot of money. And a hell of a lot of money in a world where people who had a lot of money in the 90s tend to have a whole lot more money now.